Hey there, my name is Elliot Garms. I am one of the co-founders here at Human Predictions, and I wanted to take a couple minutes today and walk you through a few of our features that I think strongly differentiate us from other sourcing tools on the market, specifically as it pertains to tech sourcing and tech recruiting. The first feature is our dropdown, which allows our users to tap into niche communities and social networks outside of LinkedIn. So if I click here, you can start to see some of the more generic about me, LinkedIn type social networks. But beyond that, we're identifying sites like Behance for design, Chef Supermarket, which is a niche community for chef people, CocoaPods, a niche community for iOS developers, Kaggle for data science. So a lot of the value we bring at Human Predictions is by tapping into these communities and building profiles on everyone that's publicly active in them. And what we're finding is many of the people active in these communities are people that used to be active on LinkedIn, but have since abandoned that profile and are spending a lot more time in these communities. And so one of the simplest things we do for our customers is help them tap into these niche communities outside of LinkedIn. And the way to do that is by simply saying, hey, I'm interested in JavaScript folks. Let's start by looking at NPM. NPM is a site, it stands for Node Package Manager, but a lot of JavaScript folks that are publishing JavaScript code for others to use will have a profile on NPM. And so by tapping into NPM, we're going to find a lot of people that, again, are not on LinkedIn at all, or more commonly have just abandoned their LinkedIn profile and are spending more time in these niche communities with other engineers rather than all the noise. We like to joke that LinkedIn has hit MySpace status for much of the tech world. So first big differentiator, we are tapped into dozens of niche tech communities that no other sourcing tool is. And by being tapped into those communities, we are gaining access for our customers to all the people active in those communities. The other major difference is how we index skills within Human Predictions. Not only are we tapping into all these niche communities, but we're using people's participation in those communities to better understand their skill set and what they might be interested in working with in terms of a job. So here in our technologies dropdown, we could search for, let's go with the NPM trend. I'm going to add React Native in here. If you were to search React Native on LinkedIn, you would simply only be seeing the people that have manually added skills to their profile, written out and said, hey, I know React Native. The big trend we're seeing this today is that tech talent is not volunteering their skills to LinkedIn anymore. They're barely checking emails. And so what we're doing is looking at what are they up to on GitHub? What are they up to on Stack Overflow? What are they up to on Meetup? And by using those other communities as a proxy, we can have a much better understanding of their skills, especially if they're newer skills like React Native. I tell people the newer a technology is, the more underrepresented it will be on LinkedIn, because the further into the future we get, the less these engineering folks really need LinkedIn in terms of having career mobility. The opportunities are finding them regardless. So the other major difference with us is we're not just relying on who's claiming skills on LinkedIn. We're actually going out into these communities. So I'm going to leave the app for 1 second and just let's look at React Native on GitHub. Here on GitHub, there are thousands of React Native projects. This is the core project. And this project has 3,700 people watching it, 92,000 that have started, 20,000 that have forked it, and another 2,000 or so that have actually contributed to the project. This is an example of how Human Predictions is indexing against the skill React Native, and how we're finding you a lot of interesting React Native people that may not be on LinkedIn at all, or more commonly have just not updated their profile to reflect that they have learned React Native. And so those are the two big differences I wanted to point out today. We're tapped into dozens of niche communities that no other sourcing tools are. And the way that we're using people's participation publicly in those communities to better understand their skills is also something we have not seen others in the market doing. And this is how we're helping our customers find a lot of great tech talent that they're not finding in other tools, specifically LinkedIn. Thanks for listening. Ciao.